Welcome to Awake Radio, folks. I have my guest on board. We all seem to be having technical troubles tonight, guys. Pamela before us, and hopefully the sound quality is good. My guest tonight is Chris Spivey, and we'll put his website up on the chat just in a little while, guys. As I was explained to Chris, I haven't managed to do my due diligence and check out everything that Chris has done, but I think you're in for a really exciting guest tonight, guys. He's a very passionate man, for what I could see, and as I say, I haven't managed to do as much research on the gentleman as I possibly could. Obviously, running this site here, the radio is kind of taking up a lot of time, and I haven't had great health this week, folks. So it's kind of been a bit of a push, but we will try and do something for you. So I would like to welcome Chris to Awake Radio, and we Roar Radio. In fact, we're simulcasting to another radio station at the same time.
Hello, Steve. All right.
Absolutely brilliant to come on air, my friend. It was only a few days ago that I got in contact with you, so
it's all been a bit of a rush, mate. But
yeah, well, that tends to be live radio, doesn't it? You know.
Mhm. So what are we going to talk about, Steve?
Well, we just kind of half discussed there at the just in the break there, what we were going to briefly talk about. But would you like first off to give a brief synopsis what you're about, and your websites, and give anything that you really feel that you need to get out there a wee punt, and the viewers or the listeners can have a wee look?
Yeah. Well, really, I'm a tattoo artist, really, by trade. But I sort of started writing a bit for the Soviet Independent newspaper, and from there, my friend, he made me a website, unbeknownst to me, I should add, and I just started writing exclusively for that, and it sort of took off, Steve. Do you know? I never expected it to take off like it did, but I've ended up with quite a big following, and well, that more or less takes up more or less all my waking time, you know.
Yeah. The internet and things like that do seem to soak up so much time. Certainly on your site, it looked very professional. I would say your man's did a very good job, I would say.
He has done a good job, yeah. I say it was totally unexpected. I knew nothing about it, and he just sort of presented with me about a year and a half ago. And I say, when I started sort of attracting 40, 50, 60 people a day to it, and now we're attracting anything up to 50,000 people a day, you know?
Really?
Just sort of say, it sort of took off. Really, what really did it was when I was writing about Japan and Fukushima nuclear power plant, and I got contacted by an activist there, and from there I got contacted by a Japanese doctor. Things are very, very bad over there, you know. They can't get no information out. No one's reporting on the real situation. But the levels of radiation are deadly, you know. And this doctor was saying to me how he's seeing more and more children and whatnot's coming in with tumours, and the West just isn't reporting on it.
Yeah, well, there really is something funny about Fukushima. Sorry, I was away from the mic.
There's an awful lot funny about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the radiation levels, but by rights, Japan should be a nuclear wasteland, you know, but obviously you can't evacuate a whole country. So what they did, all they did was raise the level of what they said was safe, rather than sort of say, "Oh, we've got to get out of there." And I say, this doctor said to me, things are very, very bad over there. You know, a lot worse than what we know in the West, because they're just not reporting on it, which they wouldn't do, obviously. And I've read that fish being caught on the west coast of America, they're coming up, radioactive sort of thing, and they're still flogging them to people.
Yeah. It's the situation there is really, I'm trying to find the words, diabolical really comes to mind. There really is certainly something not quite right about the situation. And the fact that they're allowing irradiated food to be sold around the world kind of goes with their eugenics agenda, as far as I'm concerned.
It does, yeah. And some scientists are claiming that it's the biggest single threat to mankind that there is, which it could be well right,
Yeah. Well, it's very difficult to trust what we hear on the mainstream media, for sure. But
well, they do tend to ignore it, don't they?
Just a bit.
But I say, Japan by right have been evacuated.
Yeah.
Is impossible, but.
Well, one of the things that raised my suspicions about the Fukushima thing was that they said that the diesel generators got flooded with a tsunami, which gave backup power to the nuclear reactors. Well, if you look at the way the nuclear reactors work, whenever they start going hot, they produce extra steam, which causes more power, which then they use to shut it down. So why did they say that the diesel engines, the backup generators, had got flooded? That's not the way it works.
No, but I say you got all this nuclear waste is flooding out into the sea, and covered away on tides, and I say it's popping up. Well, definitely on the west coast of America, California and all that, and no one's taking any interest.
Yeah. It's I really don't know where we can go. That Jeff Rents has done a lot to sort of promote the fact that there's a lot going on with Fukushima still, and it certainly seems to be a worldwide issue that we should all be taking concerns about, because it affects everybody rather than just Japan.
It does indeed, but like you say, it could be to add to the depopulation agenda.
Yeah.
There is a lot of people who say that the tsunami was purposely created anyway, and certainly they have the technology to start earthquakes and tsunamis and things, and mess about with the weather in any way they like. We never see the sun anymore. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. I think HAARP, which gets the blame for everything, I know there's a few of them. I think they use that to very good effect these days.
They do, yeah. But the trouble is, getting people to believe it, isn't it? No one believes in it. Oh, they can't mess about with the weather and all that. And sure. they can do what they want, mate. Yeah. Don't worry about that.
Well, when people say about weather weapons and things like that, which HAARP is a weather weapon amongst other things, I say to people, well, why do they have an international treaty that you won't use weather weapons against each other countries if there was no weather manipulation available? Why would they have a treaty?
Of course they have, yeah. And I say, there's no sunlight anymore. All you get is this sort of hot haze. I don't know what it's like in the other countries, but I can't remember the last time I see the sun, mate.
Yeah.
and of course, you need sunlight to sort of flourish, don't you?
That's right. The vitamin D side of things for one. And
if you're not getting it, it sort of affects your health, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I think what we're talking about here is chemtrail issue as well. And I really think that is actually one of the most pressing things that we should deal with as a population.
Yeah, but once again, people don't believe it, do they, Steve? It's getting people to believe it. That you can show them the photographic evidence, and that they say no, they're contrails, not chemtrails, and they just won't have it.
Yeah. Well, I think back to the cognitive dissonance thing, people see it and they don't really want to believe it, think it's not, nobody can be that bad and so on, but they really refuse to look at the evidence there and stick their head in the sand and prefer that it just goes away. But we know that this isn't going to go away.
No, and people are waking up, but they're not waking up quick enough, Steve, You just, a couple of weeks ago, we was that close to all-out nuclear war, and people was just worried about what's on the X Factor, They're not worried about that their kids are going to get melted to the ground, And I wrote about it at the time. I said, I sort of said, like, this could go off any time, and it could literally have gone off any time. And people just weren't interested.
Yeah.
Aren't interested. But they've heard it so many times before. War, but war is coming, mate. War is definitely coming, and it was predicted a long time ago that the three world wars.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're referring to Morals and Dogma, Albert Pike, I believe.
Yeah. Well, what you said, it's certainly come true anyway, hasn't it?
It certainly has, yeah. Yeah.
It's your peril. But I see Obama's done some sort of deal with Russia to get 15,000 Russian troops. Should some disaster befall America. Oh, you think, why would he get 15,000 Russian troops to come in and help on this unspecified disaster when they're at each other's throats, basically, aren't they? I mean, one minute we ain't at war with them, the Russians are saying, if you interfere with Syria, we'll be upset, and the next thing they're having 15,000 troops invade America to help with this unspecified disaster.
Yeah.
What sort of unspecified disaster was he expecting,
Yeah.
There's going to require 15,000 Russians to help out.
Well, I'm not sure what your viewpoint may be, but I believe both sides are controlled. The Russians and the Americans, and
Well, the point is, I say, they're saber rattling. The Americans are pushing, and the English as well, pushing the Russians. Russia's saying, taking a strong stance against America. But the next thing they're doing is to help each other out. It's like,
yeah.
Are we going to war, or are they friends, or what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hadn't heard that actually. What you'd actually stated there. And,
the website today, actually, someone sent it to me. It's a credible source. So the European Times or something it is.
I see.
There's a paper, but only put on the website today. But I say, Obama's, requested 15,000 Russian troops stand by to help out in an unspecified disaster in America.
Well, it would weigh up how I think things are going to shape up. I believe that America has to come down, and they're the ones that the main focus is going to be. So for the Russian troops to be heading to America, it seems entirely logical to me.
It does, but I say, let me see if I can get it up here. Well, I know I can get it up. It's just a matter of how quick I can get it up.
And what I shall do is I shall put your website up on the chart here.
It should be on the wall. It's under the title of the hypocrisy of war. Oh, my computer's so slow.
Yeah, but it seems that seems to be a common problem at the moment. I'm sorry, listeners, for laughing about the technical problems, but it's just a nightmare sometimes.
Here we go, the hypocrisy of war. My glasses off as well.
And I've just posted it. No, I thought I had, but I haven't.
Obama requests. We'll get there in the end. Requests 15,000 Russian troops for upcoming disaster. It is by the European Union Times. An unsettling report prepared by the emergency ministries circulating in the Kremlin today on the just completed talks between Russia and the United States in Washington, D.C. says that the Obama regime has requested at least 15,000 Russian troops in disaster relief and cloud functions, i.e. riot control, be pre-positioned to respond to FEMA Region 3 during an unspecified upcoming disaster. So, what this unspecified upcoming disaster is anybody's guess, but it's quite unsettling. But why go for Russian troops?
Yeah.
Is it because Russian troops would be more prepared to shoot American citizens than what American troops would be?
I certainly suspect so. Yeah, yeah.
I say, well, I mean, at the same time as he's doing that, he's threatening to blow each other up, you know?
Yep. Well, this is part of the reason I say that the both sides are controlled. It's just rhetoric. It's saber rattling, and they work in conjunction with each other to get the final means. I mean, from my viewpoint, Russia, China are essentially the model of how they want it to be for us, and they're de-industrializing the West and destroying the West as such. The West, the UK, Europe, America, South America, and they're going to try and bring it into lines similar to the Chinese and Russian way.
Yeah, and it's certainly getting there, isn't it?
Oh yes.
I see China just passed a new law today, actually, that they insist you have to go and see your parents. I just read that in the just before I come on here. It's in the Daily Mail. But they've passed it into law. Funny old law to pass.
It's strange. I just heard that this evening myself. I went out in the car for a few minutes there, and that was on the news. And my thoughts were, that's another way of making.
It's all consoled.
Yeah.
They've already got the one baby policy, which has been a disaster. I'm just trying to see if I can get out, but finding these things, when you look for these things, you never find them finished.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, go on.
Well, you were just talking about the Russians and the Chinese and things like that. I think it was Kissinger who had actually said at United Nations meeting that China was the model. So I think
I read that didn't David Icke say something about that in his secret?
Yeah.
China was the blueprint for the future.
Yeah, I think that's possible. Yeah.
Sure.
But certainly, I don't know if you agree, but I think America has to come down first, and the fact that they have so many guns, that's why it has to come down first. I think if America sees Europe erupt and sort of try and protest its way to freedom, which I think is impossible, but I think if the Americans see that, then they will just go to arms straight away. So I think the fact that they have the arms, they're the ones that's got to be taken out first, I believe.
Well, I mean, America is controlled by Israel, isn't it, as the UK is, and pretty much what Israel says goes. Once again, I talked about this on my website the other day. That Ariel Sharon said, you don't care what you say. America is under our control, and what we say goes, and that's Ariel Sharon saying it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it what's the Labour leader's name again? For a second, the name escapes me. He's a Zionist, and
Miliband.
Yeah.
It's Miliband, I call him.
And Ed Balls and so on.
Some vomit, doesn't he? Man, that is. But he was getting on the internet censorship the other day. I see with he's worried that his two sons will grab his smartphone and access internet for. Well, his sons are like 4 years old and 2 years old. So I don't know how to work a smartphone anyway myself, but if they can do it and sort of access internet porn, they're bleeding looking for it, or he's got it as a screensaver.
Yeah. I mean, that was an issue that I was actually going to bring up with you about internet censorship, and what do you think of this guy that's at the moment's been Snowden? That's his name. I'm terrible for names this evening.
I've sort of kept off the Snowden issue because I'm not altogether sure that everything is above board there.
Yeah.
I've purposely kept well away from the issue. Just so you won't find anything about Snowden on my site. I'm monitoring it closely, put it that way, but I've got my doubts there.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's a bit planned, a bit more planned than what it seems.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Sometimes you've got to wait till all the information comes out and the different things fit into place. But yeah, I smell a rat there too, to be honest.
You do. I say that it is, and I've had a few people who I sort of trust talk to me about it, and we're all in the same agreement that it's not kosher.
Yeah.
So I've got to say, you won't find anything about Snowden on my website. Well, not until I'm sure about him,
Well, the fact that it gets on the mainstream straight away makes you suspect.
Anything that gets in the mainstream media straight away is suspect.
And the second thing is, he never really said anything that wasn't.
It wasn't already. This is exactly my point. This is exactly what I said. Yeah. What has he said? What has he leaked? Nothing. Yeah. That we've been spied on. Oh, cool. As if we didn't know that anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think the deal is that you're not allowed to spy on your own population. So I think the idea is that we spy on the Americans and give them the information, and they spy on us and they give us the information. I think that's the deal.
They hate themselves anyway, Steve,
Pardon? I missed that, my friend.
Yeah, nothing's sacred anymore. Your emails are all monitored. Yeah. Facebook's monitored, and I gave up using a mobile phone about a year ago, to be honest with you. And I don't miss it, by the way. Just, when everyone's upgrading to their smartphones, you can do without them, you don't need them. And, so he hasn't said anything that we don't know.
Yeah. And I think when you start going to the WikiLeaks thing as well, I smell a rat with the WikiLeaks thing as well.
What, mate?
I smell a rat with the WikiLeaks thing as well, and they're kind of getting in conjunction together, and that Julian Assange.
Yeah. Well, I don't, unless I'm sure of something, I tend to shy away from it.
Sure.
And I've shied away from a lot, so I really don't trust it.
Well, I think this Assange thing and Snowden thing is all about shutting down the whistleblowers. I think anybody that wants to be a whistleblower, is going to use those as an example to some degree and see the way they're treated, and they're going to think twice about actually being a whistleblower. So in that sphere, it works, and in the other sphere, it works where they can say, right, well, we need to stop this whistleblowing. Soldiers are dying, blah blah blah. Secrets are getting out. We have to clamp down on the internet. So I believe it'll be both ways.
Yeah, but the internet, I say, I don't agree with the censorship as a whole. I go through a lot of websites. Some of them pretty nasty, and I never just stumble across porn. Do you know what I mean? You don't stumble across porn unless you're really looking for porn.
Yeah.
So, but now we got Wallace Miliband coming out. We had David Cameron. His eldest is 9, I think. One he left in the pub. He's saying that if the kids get hold of the iPad, bring your kids up properly, not to touch what they're not meant to touch anyway.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let a 9-year-old play with an iPad. And I say, if they can find porn accidentally, it's got to be that it's on there. The porn is saved to something for him to access it. So I think it's a load of bollocks, Steve.
Yeah.
What they're doing, they're playing on people's fears. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, censor porn. But once they've censored porn, what do they go on from there?
Yeah. Well,
I say that it's a two-pronged attack. We got this young girl, she's 16 now, isn't she, who sort of ran away with her teacher, and he got 5 years for sort of kidnapping her, and she was named apparently on Twitter. Well, I didn't say anything, but I'm not interested in it anyway. They sort of they brought this up, and then you think back to McAlpine and whatnot, and that they're trying to get in censorship in that way as well. What you can sort of say and what you can't say. So it's a two-pronged attack going through porn and social networking sites.
Yeah. And you said, I would like to go back because you said something very important there, and it doesn't really get said very often. You should bring your kids up in the right way. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Steve, I don't know. I haven't got an iPad. Probably a couple of £100. I don't know. And the way that Cameron said it was that this iPad sort of gets left about, and he heard about one of his kids, the oldest of which is 9. Sort of picking it up without them knowing, and accessing porn. But if I have an iPad, or when I had a mobile phone, and I bought my daughter up when she was 6 months old, but she never touched what she wasn't allowed to touch, and so if these kids are just sort of picking up an iPad, which they know they shouldn't be allowed to touch, without permission, then they're not being brought up right, are they?
Yeah.
They're being brought up not to respect anybody's property or anything like that,
Yeah.
And I said that there's settings on these things as well. Apparently, I think I've never used them, but you can say you can't access porn anyway. So why should it need to be censored if the settings are there?
Yeah.
When parents can do it themselves,
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's a very, very difficult issue what we're talking about here. But I really think that if we can bring our youngsters up in the right way and right manner, then we can save a whole lot of problems in the future, in the sense of getting rid of this construct.
I believe that both Billy Band and Cameron are just using their children as an excuse.
Yeah.
I say because it's nothing, in the end, it's nothing to do with porn.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking about, first of all, they was talking about doing in internet cafes and apparently they have computing Starbucks. I don't know, never been Starbucks either. But they take over. Who sort of goes into Starbucks and accesses porn, and knocks one out? Well, have a cup of coffee or something. No, so it's just a load of bollocks, mate.
Yeah.
They don't want to get, once they get their foot on the censorship, and by rights, they have no right to interfere on the internet anyway. It was apparently given to the people, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they're interfering in something that they got no right to interfere in. But they're using porn and people being named on Twitter and whatnot as an excuse. But that is just an excuse. Once they get there, they're going to come for people like me. You know that. I know that.
Yep, I would agree with that. They're trying to clamp freedom of speech, essentially.
Sorry, you broke up a bit there, mate.
Sorry, they are actually trying to stop freedom of speech, essentially.
Of course they are. Of course they are. And because they know, I mean, they control the MSM. The MSM only print what they want. Hence, you've got this, like, take Syria, for instance. Where on the side of the Syrian rebels, the government's bad, Assad is bad, which isn't the case at all. But this is the case that the MSM, well, they know that, but if people click on my side of that, they're not going to see that. I mean, with that article about Obama with 15,000 troops, there's one on there about the rebels beheading a fella, a fairly graphic picture on.
Mm-hmm.
And, they can control the MSM, but they can't control people like me, who will put forward what I feel is right, and is much more credible,
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's face it, some of the stuff that they come out is not credible. I'm saying some of the stuff that they come out is definitely not credible.
Well, certainly, and that's why, I mean, I used to take bail as a whipping boy, and I just love to take them to pieces because anyone who actually pays for the Daily Mail wants their head tested,
Yeah.
And a bigger waste of money I've never met my whole life. They're not journalists, are they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you've watched Unlawful Killing, the Princess Di film. Have you ever seen?
I haven't watched it yet, no.
It's very, very hard to get. We managed to get our copies of it about 6 months ago. So
I have got it. I just have so little time to do.
yeah.
I started writing a thing on Princess Diana, based around the what's it report? The report to her death, a pageant report. I've read the pageant report, and once again, that's just designed to fit the official version, and it doesn't. It's like putting a square peg into a round hole. It doesn't. You've got to beat it to get it in, and this is what the pageant report has done. And the pageant report, I've had in this. I mean, I'm up to 50,000 words at the moment,
Right.
And I'm nowhere near the end. But I'm just taking the pageant report to pieces, and it's so easy to do, mate. It's so flawed,
Yeah.
And it's got something like £12 million to compile, and it's a pile of shit. It's made up, mate.
Yeah.
I say it just they want to get it down to a drunk driver, an accident, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. There's far too many anomalies surrounding it to be so.
Yeah. Well.
Finish. And so I haven't watched it, but I am fully aware of what Mohammed Al-Fayed is saying. Mohammed Al-Fayed, you've got to be very careful, because he's not what he seems.
Yeah. Well, I suspect that too. I suspect that both sides is controlled at that top end.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And Mohammed Al-Fayed, I think he's a bit of a smokescreen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think.
I don't pay too much store.
Yeah.
On his allegations and whatnot, because he's up to his neck in it as well, mate.
Yeah.
And that man is very, very shady.
Well, I'll confirm that for you in my sort of thoughts is that both sides are generally controlled. They like to have the opposition in their hands. And people will say, well why are they trying to bring all this out? Well, they know that somebody's going to do it and bring this information out, so they'd rather have it in a controlled fashion.
They muddy the waters purposely.
Yeah.
And I'll say when she has seafood out, and I have I've purposely kept away from Mohammed Al-Fayed. It's almost a book, really. Simply because I believe that Mohammed Al-Fayed is a smokescreen. What he seems to be bringing up is credible, but it has to be. But don't put too much store. Take the other factors involved.
Yeah.
Like why they wouldn't let Mercedes have the car to go over. They had their own sort of engineers who go over and wouldn't let Mercedes touch it. Well, who's better than a Mercedes mechanic?
Yeah, exactly.
It was tampered with, but they wouldn't let Mercedes get looking.
Well,
things like that are important.
Yeah, well, I'm a mechanic, so I kind of know, and I've studied that car and so on. And Di with the seatbelt on in the back there, I don't think she would have been killed. But
they kept, as things kept coming up, they kept changing them. Like they had first of all the carbon monoxide in Henry Paul's body.
Yeah.
They put it down at first. They put it down to the airbags.
Yeah.
And that wasn't. That's not feasible. So then they started saying, oh no, the regions are wrong because it was taken at such and such a date, and this other one was taken at such and such a date, and they baffled you with science. Then so you've got to combine the two and times it by 50, divide it by 3, minus 7, and you get the answer, and they sort of things like that.
Yeah.
But it still smells of bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, and really why I was bringing up Princess Di, we were talking with reporters, and people don't really think of this, but the common conception is that the paparazzi was changing the car and it crashed, and she ended up dead. But if the verdict is unlawful killing, so unlawful. Well, it wasn't lawful.
Yeah.
And essentially, what they said was the following cars. So the following cars being the white Fiat Uno rather than the paparazzi, but people, they hear the report and they just assume it was the paparazzi that was behind with following cars. So then they put it down to the accident. So
because there's so many conflicting witness statements anyway.
Yeah.
Once again, muddy the waters as much as you can.
Yeah.
They only used the witness statements that fitted. They didn't use the ones. I mean, you have a barrister, an English barrister, who sort of saw it, and they discredit him. You know, and this is an English barrister. What could discredit an English barrister who saw the Fiat Uno coming out of the tunnel?
Mm-hmm.
You know, breakneck speed. And he said there was a Mercedes with that. I think it was a grey Mercedes. Well, surely he wouldn't make that up.
Yeah.
You know, so that grey Mercedes, that had to be in the tunnel at the time. You know, because there's no reports of a grey Mercedes sort of being there. And the sort of story about the Fiat Uno nudging the Mercedes into the 13th pillar, which the 13 is quite significant. An Uno isn't heavy enough
Mm-hmm.
to do that. You know, they would need something a lot more substantial.
Yeah.
Mercedes on a Mercedes.
Well,
I say these witness statements were completely ignored. The Padgett report sort of it touches on the fact that there's a road just prior to the Yarmouth Tunnel that Henry Paul should have taken, and the witness reports have said that he was blocked off by a motorbike, and they sort of touched on that, but skipped over it at the same time. You know, they haven't gone into it deep enough.
Well, you were talking about the white Fiat Uno not being large enough. Well, I can actually talk from experience for that, because for 25 years I was a stock car driver, you know, in race bangers and saloons and all sorts of different things. And yeah, it is possible to move a bigger car, but you know, with an experienced advanced driver like Andre Paul, I don't think that would have been a problem hitting him. I believe probably the white Fiat Uno was a distraction, and they took over the car remotely. Being Mercedes, everything's run electrically, the braking system, the steering system, the whole shooting match. So I really do think it was possible to take over the car.
That's the brakes manoeuvre.
Yeah.
Which is fact, and it's fact that the Mercedes was stolen prior to the accident. I think about 6 months before, and all that was stolen was the microchip and some other thing. But that's all. And you got this £170,000 car or whatever it was, and they've just sort of taken a microchip, which is like, I believe you can get them on eBay for about £28.
Yeah.
Or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
But even where it was parked, because the person who owns Mercedes, Etal or something, it's a Joe's company, but they dealt exclusively with the Ritz Hotel, you know. But it wasn't actually the Ritz's car. It was this chauffeur company.
Sure. And
they allocated parking spaces on the first floor of the Ritz's car park, and the Mercedes was actually parked on the third floor. So this is a sub, below earth car park.
Mm-hmm.
So why was it parked on the third floor when it was meant to be parked on the first, which sort of gives people time to tamper with it, because the way I understand it was sort of played with before, but finished on the night, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I can remember that.
You know, it would sort of take 6 to 8 hours to set something up for the Boston brakes. But they would have done it, you know, at the time of it was stolen, when they got it back and the repairs were made, which are very vague on what repairs were done to it. And then on the night in question, I think it was the 31st of August, I think, if I remember right.
Something like that, yeah.
Or the 30th of August, 1997. It would have been done on that night, and it wasn't parked where it was meant to be. Why not? You know, why not?
Yeah.
And there was so many, the fella who was Dodie Fayed's chauffeur, he was there. He wasn't allowed to drive it. Why wasn't he allowed to drive it, you know?
Yeah.
He was even allowed to deliver it to, because they left from the back of the Vitz. He wasn't even allowed to deliver it there, which he could have accessed without the trouble of actually seeing anyway, but by going to the underground car park from the Vitz Hotel, which the paparazzi wouldn't have been able to see, you know?
Yep.
Instead, they had him drive as a decoy, just around a circle, around a sort of square, to act as a decoy, which sort of weren't fooling anybody anyway, you know? But I say that doesn't make sense. Why have Henry Paul drive it? Henry Paul has already been pulled up for driving anyway, because he wasn't allowed to drive, because you need a chauffeur's license in France. Henry Paul didn't have the required chauffeur's license. Hence, when they went to pick Diana and Dodie up at the airport, Philip Dortmund, I think his chauffeur's name, if I remember rightly, working without notes here. He drove the first car, and Henry Paul drove the backup car to take luggage and whatnot, but he wasn't allowed to drive them himself simply because he didn't have the chauffeur's license. So you know, why was he driving? Yeah. I say that the chauffeur was there, and in the witness statement, because they have all the witness statements in the pageant report, you know, I'm sure his name's Philip Dortmund. He expressed concern that he wasn't allowed to drive, you know, and sort of got the ump about it. And his witness statement seems to suggest that the bodyguards insisted on it, you know, whether they'd been told and that was it, and they were giving it the big I am, I don't know. But certainly the bodyguards were a bit suspect anyway, and I believe it went wrong for what's in it, the Welsh bodyguard, and the other one, Kes. He's definitely suspect.
Yeah, I would say for sure that you know, there's too many anomalies there, and I mean that's not mentioning anything to do with the ambulance taking. I think it was nearly 2 hours to get to hospital.
Exactly, and there was one journalist. He did it in traffic, and he obviously didn't have the benefit of police escort. He did it 11 minutes.
Yeah.
In traffic.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean they do things slightly different way in France on emergencies, where as they tend to their ambulances are quick and they tend to operate do all sorts different to what we do over here. But the injuries that she'd sustained, even with their procedures over there, they should have had a straight to hospital. I mean, it stopped in sight of the door, the hospital door, you know?
Yeah.
A couple of 100 yards away.
That's right.
They said because she was having a heart attack. Well, bloody hell. You just push on, don't you? In an extra minute.
Yeah, exactly.
But rather than try and deal with it inside of the hospital doors, you know, it makes no sense whatsoever.
I'll make 2 points about the Princess Di thing, and I'll maybe move on to another question. But I don't know if you know about the Uno driver. He was discovered in MOD land with 2 bullets in his head. The doors all locked inside the Fiat Uno.
In a fire.
Burnt out. Yeah.
Well, what was it? I was trying to think of his name there because I was going to think about when we talked about the Uno.
Yeah.
He had a wife. What was his name?
I can't remember for love nor money. My mind's not good for the names tonight.
That's me, Steve. But this fella, he was working for the security services as well. And like I say, he turned up dead in an apparent suicide. No keys in the car, no lock, and bullets in his head.
Yeah.
Well, he admitted to being in the tunnel, apparently, that night. But he said he wasn't in his Uno, he was on a motorbike, which may be true, maybe not. But so certainly his offices got broken into as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they took, because he supposedly had photographs and whatnot, and they took that. That's all they took. In fact, armed raiders, that's right, burst into his offices, or the press where photographs are stored. They weren't just sort of press offices, and they just took the supposedly the photos at gunpoint. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. He committed suicide by shooting himself twice in the head, set fire to the car and locked it.
Yeah. My final point to note on the Princess Di thing, the Flame of Horus statue above the underpass.
That's right. Because Diana is the moon goddess, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
Or Diana, it translates as the moon goddess, and the Alma Tunnel, on the Alma Tunnel, was at one time a sacrificial ground to the goddess Diana. You know, and just outside of France it was at the time, but as France expanded and whatnot, it came to incorporate this. And you have the Statue of Liberty on the River Seine there, right next to it, or a replica of it. And like I said, you're doing at the top with the Eternal Flame, which was sort of put next to Kennedy. Where Kennedy was shot, wasn't it? Well,
that's right. That's right. So, I mean, it's strange that a lot of this kind of weighs up. You know, when you would talk to somebody that's maybe not awakened or aware of what's going on around them, then if you said that to them, they'd think you're as mad as a hatter. But then, you know, if you do the research, you could actually find that this is actually true.
Of course it is, and these people are very big on symbolism.
Yeah.
And numbers, hence that they have to be the 13th pillar. You know, I mean, the chances of it just hitting the 13th pillar on the off chance, knowing when you know what you do about how everything is controlled by numbers and symbols. You know, it was sort of a fantastic coincidence. If it was a coincidence, when you take it with everything else, I say the sacrificial ground. To the goddess Diana, and then the Statue of Liberty, which isn't a symbol of freedom at all. That is significant, and Pont Alma, I say, translates as literally passage of the moon goddess, who was Diana.
Yeah. Okay, my friend, we've actually been on air about an hour, so I'd say that we maybe have a little comfort break and maybe refresh your drink. I see you were getting a little bit hoarse there at one stage, so grab yourself a fresh drink or something and a bit of a comfort break.
Lynch my daughter that I was in need of a drink.
All right, I see. Well, I'll stick a tune on and let me see how long it will take. In fact, I'll stick all you rule breakers on. So it's 9 minutes 50, so that will give us a reasonable amount of time to do what we need to do. And I was going to come back to you about you mentioned about Boston breaking. I was going to mention the Boston Marathon and maybe see what you think of that. Well, welcome back to Awake Radio, folks, and We Roar Radio. First simulcast for Granada's Workshop. I have my guest here, Chris Spivey, and you know, turning out to be a real good guest, guys, considering that I didn't do my due diligence, and certainly it's very entertaining. So, you there, Chris?
I am, yes, I'm right here.
Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we said before the show you mentioned Boston brakes on Princess Di's Mercedes, and it reminded me of the question at the Boston bombings at the marathon there. Do you want to give us your take on that, my friend?
Well, I've just done quite a big article last month on Boston bombing, which I think, well, as far as I'm concerned, proves beyond all doubt that it was a false flag. Straight away from the pictures on the article, which you can find on my website, spivey.co.uk. It's called The Camera Never Lies. If you go on that, because it is mainly photo evidence, you know, to sort of draw attention to how amateur. It was almost an amateur dramatics, you know. Now, all the so-called victims, or the prominent victims, such as Sydney Corcoran and her mother Celeste, who supposedly lost both of her legs in the bombing. Well, you got her husband, or supposedly, allegedly her husband, Michael, talking on a video to CNN, and he breaks down a couple of times. Well, not to you, because you know you put me to dry eye. It's quite pathetic to watch. But he said that he has a clear memory of sort of looking at his wife and his daughter, and the bomb going off, and he says he didn't realise it was a bomb, and he's looked around and there's no one there. Well, you're probably right about no one there, but he said that he looked down and his wife, he said a clear memory of his daughter Sydney flying through the air, arms spread, and he sort of spread his arms like Jesus being crucified, and she ended up about 20 foot away around the corner, and he said his wife, who took the brunt of the explosion, was on the floor. So if they're standing next to him, how can one go down like a sack of spuds and the other one take off like Superman, you know? It makes no sense. But then when you look at the photos, you can actually see you've got Sydney, who supposedly had a severed femoral artery. Well, if you don't get expert help within 2 minutes, you're dead. Mm-hmm. If you have a severed femoral artery, you know, mm-hmm. from bleeding. And she sort of ended up like 20 foot around the corner. But you look at the photos and you can see her sort of like walking over there, spraying blood from her handbag. Quite know, I didn't know handbags bled, but they certainly do in the woman's case. And then you've got this ridiculous situation where you've got a supposed good Samaritan tending this femoral artery with a paramedic standing over, supposedly taking her pulse, but not counting the beats off on anything, you know? So she's just holding a pulse and letting this stranger deal with a severed femoral artery, which is potentially, say, 2 minutes and you're dead. Which makes no sense at all. But these people have become millionaires on this, Steve, you know? I think there's something like, last time I looked, £80 million raised between the lot of them, you know? So, when people say, oh, yeah, but why would they do it? Why would they do it? Well, there's your answer straight away there. Now, her mother, Celeste, supposedly lost both of her legs in it. Well, I've got photos up there of what's supposedly pre-bombing, and you can see that she has false legs just on the on these pre-photos. But that's like, you know, a couple of days afterwards, she's smiling, and you have that Jeff Corman, who supposedly lost his legs, the one who had the bone sticking out in a wheelchair. Well, yeah, 27 years old. If I had lost my legs when I was 27 years old, both of them, the last thing I would be doing is wanting to give an 18-year-old a birthday present 3 days after losing both my legs, you know?
Yeah.
I had a friend who years ago, I was a builder, and then I had a fellow work for me, whose last name was Foot, actually, quite unfortunate name. And he'd been out on a Friday night, a row broke out, and he was just had to be watching this row, and these people involved in the row drove a car with a crowd and pinned him against the bus stop. He lost his leg. He didn't lose it there. He had it amputated in hospital. Mm-hmm. And I went to see him like 3 days later. And he was certainly very depressed about it, you know, and that was just one. So if you lost 2 legs, a couple of weeks later, you know, you're not waving your flag about being Boston strong, as they called it. Yeah. You know, it just doesn't make no sense. So on top of that, you've got this Sydney Corcoran, severed femoral artery, The newspaper report says her foot was hollow, which it wasn't, because the trainer was on there, you know, untouched sort of thing. Anyway, walked away. So this photos on there, walking away. But people believe this shit, you know, and feel sorry. And if you went on the Sydney Corcoran, Celestine Corcoran donate page, and read the comments, you know, that make you want to gag, mate. You know, oh, you're so brave, you're so brave. They bollocks, brave, you know. They're actors. People, well, you wouldn't say that to them. I would love to say that to their face. I would love to confront these people.
Yeah.
I would love to. I say, you know, and to me, without a doubt, Jeff Borman and Celeste Corcoran both lost their legs at some point in their life. It wasn't on the Boston bombing. They had the Boston bombing. But, you know, that, to me, what they're doing here is endangering us all by going along with this government plot, which it is a false flag without a doubt. And to me, the fact that like you know that they're disabled has nothing to do with it. You know, I would love to call them. I'm calling all of them liars.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell them to their face they're liars as well. I say I had someone who worked for me. He was a friend as well. He lost his leg and he wasn't like that. But you got pictures of Sydney Corcoran, severed femoral artery, hollow foot, most of the bones gone in her foot.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 days later, she's standing up in hospital without crutches, smiling, looking as healthy as what her mother did. Actually, she's lost both her legs.
Yeah.
You know, it's just bollocks, mate.
Well, certainly what you're saying about being a false flag. I watched the video now, assuming that everything you see is not true. It may well have been photoshopped, but certainly after the evidence of the so-called victims and medics had been there was lots and lots of yellow packets or orange packets, I believe, and essentially this contained the blood that they were using, and they were dropping it on the floor.
Yeah, but not only. I mean, I've tended to shy away from these packets because the photos are shot so far away. It gives people a chance to say, well, you know, that could be anything. Mm-hmm. You know, it could be a soda carton or whatever, do you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put, apart from the Sydney Corcoran, where you can see the tube coming out of the bag, the sort of dripping blood, I've shied away from that. Sure. Because there's plenty of other evidence. I mean, the cowboy Carlos Andretti, or whatever his name was, you know, who supposedly he said originally that he never left Jeff Bowman's side. He said when he first saw him, he was on fire, and he's patting his chest to show how he put the fire out on him. Well, that's not what the photo evidence shows. But apart from that, you see, once the bomb goes off, pictures in the aftermath, when he's still smoking, there's 20 or 30 people about. Now, by the time it ends, the place is teeming with people. You know, when it first goes off, Jeff Bowman's nowhere. He's nowhere to be seen. And then he suddenly appeared. But you've got Carlos, there's a cowboy, sort of standing, just looking around him, you know. Sort of, so if Jeff was on fire when the bomb went off, he'd have been burnt to death by the time Carlos got to him. Mm-hmm. And Carlos is taking down this picket fence. Now, I've used picket fence when I was a builder, and anyway, it's got a mind of its own, mate. You try rolling it up at any length, it has got a mind of its own. You know, it comes out, and I'm just looking at a picture now, and you can see how it's going all over the place. Well, if it had happened the way it was meant to have done, Kristen, the girl who was killed, supposedly killed, and that, she would have been underneath this picket fence, you know. Mm. But actually, if you go to the pictures of Christine, when it looks quite horrific, you know, sort of legs hanging off at a different angle, but she's got the picket fence underneath her. You know, so how did it get underneath her? Mm. You know, because she wasn't there originally. That's how. And she got placed after the fence was taken down. Had it been the other way, Carlos would have killed her with his picket fence anyway. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So as I say, it just. Nothing adds up. You have a little boy appearing in there, in sort of some American either football team or baseball team T-shirt. He's not there originally. And then you got him with a security guard, and then he's passed to a soldier, and then from a soldier, he's passed to a policeman. It's sort of wheeling him down the road, and you got a woman standing next to him, looking horrified and that. They sort of get, but then there's another picture. They're not together, obviously, but they're all on my bit. And, they've sort of passed the camera line, or the main camera line, and, there's no urgent to destroy it along. But I say that this boy wasn't there. He's no photos, immediately after the bomb, and then he's there. And then you've got, the pictures where you can hardly see anything because of the smoke going off. You've got one chap, his clothes are shredded, hasn't got a cut on him, but Sidney Corvan and Celeste Corvan, and even Kevin, sorry, the dad I called him Mike earlier, Kevin Corvan, even, their clothes are immaculate. There's nothing there, but supposedly Celeste Corvan took the main front of the bomb. So why wasn't her clothes shredded like this fella? And then you got this bald-headed fella that turns up in one of the more famous of the photos of it. His clothes are shredded. He's sort of meant to be staggering up the road in shock. Well, he's a policeman. I've got him. Say if you go on, your and scan down at the photo. There's a photo of him in this road with his clothes sort of shredded, and then there's a picture of him driving someone away in a police uniform, and he's a very distinctive looking man. No way he could have a twin. And it's him, and it's him. Mm-hmm. But I say, most of it is all photo evidence and taken from photos, so it's a bit hard to convey how pathetic and how amateurish it was without having photos in front of you, Steve.
Yeah. Okay. And what did you make of the bombers, the so-called bombers with the backpacks and things like that? The photo evidence of that?
Well, again, the picture on the article. Supposedly where the bomb is being put into place in this bag, and then you look at another picture, and it's a completely different bag, but it's the same area, So you have two different bombs, but it specifically says on one of the headlines, and I left it in, the bomb that blew Jeff Bowman's legs off. I think I'm saying his name is Bowman. I think that's the way to pronounce it.
Sure.
This is bomb number 2. The second bomb site, mm-hmm. and Jeff was in the first bomb site, so how can it be the bomb that blew his legs off?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'll tell you exactly. So, photo of the bag dropped to the feet of Jeff Bowman. Now that's at the site of the second explosion. So if Jeff was at the other explosion, how could it be the bomb that blew his legs off?
Yeah.
I say there's two totally different bags. One you've got sort of like the bag being placed through the fence, which is different to the one that's shown in the pictures. Now, that was some bomb, wasn't it? It couldn't even blow the mailbox down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it blew. And they took, I don't know, 168 casualties. Well, if you look at the immediate area afterwards, you count sort of like a dozen in each, 24. So where they got 168 from, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And you got this fat lady sort of moseying around the site. But if you keep track of her in the pictures, you'll see that she's controller. She's controlling it all because I have pictures of her there, like putting her arms in direction and speaking to security guards and whatnot. And it's obvious that she's directing it. But she gets all over the place. But I managed to track her fairly well. I said, but you'd have to go on the article to see the photo evidence,
Yeah.
And I would say the camera never lies, does it? I mean, if you look just minutes before the bomb, about 15 or 20 deep the crowd is,
Mm-hmm.
Where did they all go to when the bomb went off, because then you got the bomb, and I say, it's still smoke, and you got room to swing 10 cats, not let alone one.
Yeah.
Yet, minutes before, I say, with pictures, and they're 15 or 20 deep, shoulder to shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
So, you tell me where did them people go?
Yeah. And then there's also the thing about the the exercise that was going on at the time. I believe one of the joggers had said that.
There's always an exercise. Right?
Yeah.
There was one at 9/11. There was one at 7/7. There's always an exercise. Well, I say that I've seen a few debunkings of that, but I tend to shy away from them once again because you get too many people saying, "Oh no, that that was the day before or whatever," and they'll offer you something up, and you can spend all day. So I tend to work on things that I can prove beyond doubt. I say like these photos, of Sidney Corvin walking away from the bomb when she's got a severed femoral artery, and the fella standing, he's hardly got any trousers left, and he just absolutely ripped to shreds. Well, he's in the same place as them, so why wasn't everybody else's clothes ripped to shreds?
Yeah.
No, Well, I tend to go with things like that. Photos of Jeff Bowman underground. Well, you have one chap who was definitely an agent. He was the one who was putting Jeff's legs on, and all these false amputated legs, if you like, false legs. And he's later pictured on a stretcher with a mask, an oxygen mask on, and he's supposedly not seriously hurt, but you get Jeff Bowman there, both his legs blown off. You've got paramedics all around him looking at other people, everyone's ignoring him, and then he's taken away in a wheelchair. No oxygen, where someone who's not seriously hurt is strapped to a stretcher, receiving oxygen. What's that all about?
Yeah.
Just don't make. And why didn't the ambulances come there? Why did they have to be taken to the ambulances?
Yeah. It's
normally you get taken to an ambulance. You don't get lose both your legs sitting bolt upright in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
You're being wheeled down to an ambulance. It makes no sense. And anybody who believes it, but people do believe it, Steve. This is the scary, and it is scary, mate. Because if you read some of the things I've been called for, saying this is a load of bollocks, and here's the photo evidence, and explain that to me if it's not bollocks, and people look at the whole. How could you say that? They're poor people. They're poor people, my arse. I would love to confront them face to face. I would love to do that, mate.
Well, it's the thing of the conditioning, that this is where I think we distinguish being awake, that you can be discerning when you're awake, but people just accept that is the way, and they don't really look at it. They see it, but they don't look.
Exactly, and I did read somewhere that you have a built-in coping mechanism in your body. Well, I find that a bit hard to understand, because if someone presents evidence to me that outweighs any other evidence, that's what I'm going to go with, But people don't. It's apparently this inbuilt self-preservation coping mechanism that kicks in, and no matter how much proof you sort of show them, if it takes them out of their comfort zone, they're not going to believe it. I say I can't understand it myself, because mine obviously is broken. I believe what I can see and what rings true, and certainly nothing about the official version rings true, and the photo evidence totally contradicts the official law. Same as 9/11,
Yeah.
There was no way that the two aircrafts could have done that, but people still going, "Oh, you're one of them who believes that, the Israelis did 9/11 or whatever."
Yeah.
I am, yeah, but they say it like you're some kind of nutcase, but the nutcases are the ones who can't see what's in front of their eyes.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's a truly frightening thing, Steve. It truly is frightening.
Yeah.
Do you know that this conditioning and that if they can't see, well, they say, "I'll do anything for my kids. I love my kids. If anybody ever hurt my kids, well, the government are definitely trying to hurt your kids, mate.
Yeah.
If you love your kids that much, you'll open your bleeding eyes right now,
Yeah.
and see what's going on. Because if you don't, it's going to be too late, and your kids are going to get it." Yeah, simple as that, Steve.
Yep, I agree 100% with that, my friend. Yeah. but it is very difficult when people are programmed and conditioned. I really do believe we are the lucky ones, to be honest, Chris. The fact we have took a step to the side and seen that what was presented in front of us isn't exactly what it seems, and it's very, very difficult, and it can be very, very frustrating, especially when, for me, vaccinations and so on, to see parents say, okay, get a vaccination to their kid, and you know it's damaging them. It is heartbreaking, yeah.
You know, and when are they going to wake up? And they're not even open to the idea, Steve. This is what's frightening. They're not open to the idea. You know, I'm someone who wears a tinfoil hat with credible evidence. Yeah, you know, the story that doesn't match, that there's no evidence to support it, they'll go with it just because the government said that's the way it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that is truly fine. And I'd say that they're not, there's no negotiating, there's no, you know, debating with these people.
Yeah.
I'm mad, they're right, the government won't do it. That's it. And it's that attitude, it's going to get us all killed.
Yeah, well, I would agree with you, and we've even had certain members in the chat say exactly the same thing. Jim UK, you know, he was looked at as a nutcase from his family, but they're starting to come round. I believe Joe said something similar about people that he knew. I've certainly had that same thing there, as they look at it as if you're absolutely a screwball.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but at the same time, I think we have to be really patient, because I can say something on the positive here that, you know, I've pointed out chemtrails maybe to somebody that's quite an obvious thing that's happening that they can see for themselves, and they can't say that's photoshopped or whatever. And they've come back to me maybe a year or so later and saying, you were right. You know, so there is a growing awakening for sure. But
it's not quick enough. It's not quick enough, Steve.
Yeah.
You know, and things are moving at a hell of a pace. I say that, you know, we got the Boston. It wasn't even. It was slapdash.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like once you start looking at it, it's so easy to prove that it was a false flag. You know.
Yeah.
And the same with this Woolwich thing. It's so slapdash.
Yeah.
And so that they're not even taking care to try and fool you now.
Yeah.
You know. At least 9/11, you know, it took a while to sort of disprove it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like you had that, but it wasn't until you started getting to the melting point of steel and whatnot, and the free fall speeds that then you can sort of say, yeah, and that sort of disproves that. But with this Boston bomb and the Woolwich hoax, straight away. You can see through the story, you know.
Yeah, the Woolwich hoax. What do you make of that? What's your take on that, my friend?
I've got a major article coming out on it. Well, it should have been released last week, but I keep finding new anomalies, and it's just growing and growing and growing. I'm up to about 16,000 words now, and I would say I'm only 3/4 of the way through it. But once again, that relies heavily on photo evidence, but to me, I'm 99.9% sure that it was filmed twice. And certainly, if on the day it happened, the 22nd of May, all the newspaper websites were sort of updating you as a event, like, you know, like a teleprint.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere between 6 and 7 o'clock, the Telegraph reported that they'd evacuated a block of flats. You know, the block of flats right next to it, overlooked the scene, sort of thing. They'd evacuated that to perform a controlled explosion on the car. Now, the Telegraph wouldn't make that up. They wouldn't make that up. But there was no controlled explosion on the car. I think what they did is they did evacuate the flats, but they evacuated the flats to film it again. I don't really want to give too much away, but if you look, you know the shop that used to be pub, the Queen Victoria, there by where the lorries parked. In some photos where Michael, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name, where Michael gives his interview. It's open, and in other shots, the shutters are down, it's closed.
Mm.
And that's an exclusive there, because as far as I know, no one else has recorded it. But yeah, so how come that if it wasn't filmed twice? And then other shots, you look at, there's a mile of people behind you, and then at other times there's hardly anybody. You know, now if something's going on and you're going to stand and watch, and I'm going to go, well, I've got to go now. You know, leave it, and everyone sort of walks off. And you've got people sort of walking past this madman who supposedly just hacked someone's head off. Mm-hmm. Well, I've never hacked anyone's head off, Steve. But I imagine if I did it, I'd be pretty upset about it. Mm-hmm. No, not. I won't be calm enough to talk to the cameras. I'm quite good with blood and gore. But if I hack someone's head off, especially for the first time, I wouldn't be talking to the cameras all calm like that. Yeah. But that aside, you know, you have the witness reports, like the children coming out of school. Well, I live in a fairly low crime area, mate, and so I've got my daughter up since she was 6 months old on my own, so I'll go to primary school, pick her up and drop her off. And they don't let the kids out until the parents are there. Mm-hmm. You know, so I would imagine that in London, they're even more rigid about it. I mean, if they let the kid just wander out of school, you're 11 when you leave, so, you know, kids between 4 and 11, so wander out of the school day willy-nilly, and then something happened to them, you know, the school would be getting done for manslaughter or something.
Yeah, because I think there's...
They don't let the kids go until, but you've got people, you know, witnesses saying, I yelled at the kids to get back. Well, if it started at 2:20 in the afternoon, it certainly ended by 2:50. As far as I'm aware, no primary school comes out till 3 o'clock, so how was the kids coming out of school? Mm-hmm. You know? So, straight away. And why were kids coming out of school unsupervised without the parents being there, even if they say that they did have to finish at 2:30? You got video of a little boy with his father there, and you know, he's saying how scared he was, and I thought I was going to die, and all this. It all plays on people's heartstrings. He said, you know, the helicopter landed in the school playground. But it didn't. The helicopter didn't land in the school playground. The helicopter landed on John Wilson Street, which incidentally is where all the mainstream media suggested that this decapitation had taken place, but it didn't. It actually happened on Arterial Place. Yeah. Whether that was just bad reporting or whether it was done for a reason, I don't know. But it certainly didn't take place on John Wilson Street. Arterial Place is off John Wilson Street, you know. And the way it was done, then, you know, supposedly, this Michael, the one who gave the interview, he pointed a gun at his lorry driver, stopped the lorry in the middle of the road. Well, that was rather convenient because that blocks Repton Place as well, and blocks, Arterial Place is a busy road. Mm-hmm. But by planting the lorry there, you have the bus stopped on the other side, and, you know, passengers are on and off and on and off. There's no bus stop there, Steve. So why did the bus stop there anyway? But the only reason that the lorry was there and the bus stopped there is to block the road off. Mm-hmm. But if you look at Arterial Place, say it's a very, very busy road. I can't stress this enough. But there's no build-up of traffic either side. Why? The roads must have been closed off further down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, 20 minutes, busy London street, nothing behind. Not having it, mate.
Yeah.
Not having it. You know, I say so. And armed police, I was saying, the average response time in London is 9 minutes for the armed police. You know, 20 minutes? No.
Yeah.
No chance. So it was obviously, I say that the lorry was put there. I mean, why did the lorry driver run off never to be seen again? Why is the lorry? I mean, it's a big lorry. Why is it unmarked? Why is there no, you know, the company, whoever owns the lorry? Why is it sign written? You know, I say it's a newish lorry. It's not just, you know, like some people buy old ambulances and whatnot, and old trucks. This is a big lorry, in condition 1, isn't it sign written or anything? Why did the lorry driver run off? Why did Michael point the gun at him in the first place? You know, and not point at anybody else who was supposedly driving past? Why did he run off? Why didn't he just mingle in with the crowd, never to be seen again? Why did it take so long to move the lorry? You know, I'm sure there must be someone amongst the policemen who's quite capable of hotwiring it, even if you took the keys. But if you've got a gun, if you're that scared that someone's pointing the gun at you, that you're going to do run and carry on running till, but now, you're not going to bother with the keys, take the keys, are you?
That's right, yeah.
So the lorry remained there for hours and hours and hours. Why did the bus reverse? The bus had to reverse because otherwise the armed police vehicle would have run straight its arse. But it reversed twice. You know, why? How could it reverse at 20 minutes in a London street? You know, why wasn't it chock a block behind him with cars?
Yeah.
You know, and then you got the angels of Woolwich. I'll tell you now, I call all 3 of them liars. Ingrid, whatever name is, and Amanda and Gemini, I forget their last name. They're liars, right? Because according to Gemini's evidence, they was going to Tesco's. Well, I know where the Tesco's down the bottom of Wellington Road, which is the road opposite the traffic lights across John Wilson Street. Which, okay, that's fair enough. They're driving in there, and Gemini supposedly went, stop! And her mother said, you know, she stopped 100 yards down the road. Well, 100 yards down the road, I've measured it out, it works out all right, as it happens. Right across the lights onto Wellington Street, and that's the nearest that she could have pulled up, because obviously she could have pulled up in the middle of John Wilson Road, you know, which is a major road. So, that makes sense. But then she said, this man has apparently, you know, looked over, and she said she could see the soldier being hacked at. Well, it's impossible. From where she was, 100 yards away, with the main road in between them, the signpost and the car, it would have been impossible for her to see, you know. And then, like anything else, they haven't got Facebook profiles that make sense. In this new article that's coming out, that Joe Talent is the name of the He appears to panic, actually, about the attention he was getting, but he later turned up with the EDL mark, but he says that he was friends with this Amanda and Gemini. Well, Amanda and Gemini are black, you know, he's on an EDL mark, so that don't make much sense for a start, does it? But I've got all kinds of things in this, I say this article, it should be ready in, well, by the weekend now, I'm hoping for.
Excellent. Well, I'll look forward to having a wee scan at that.
Nothing makes sense. Once again, I say, school kids don't come out, you know, somewhere between 2:30 and 2:10. 2:10. They don't. But you got witness after witness saying, you know, I shouted at the kids, "Well, go back, go back, go back." Well, I say they wouldn't come out of school without their parents being there to greet them anyway, would they? Because if one of them, they let one of them kids out, 7 or 8 year old out, and then he goes missing, who's going to be to blame? The school. You know, so I know from living in a low crime area that the kids will not be let go at the school gate till their parents are there, and the teacher or the teaching assistant can see the parent now. And it's certainly not at 2:30. So as far as I know, between 3 and 3:30, primary schools let out.
You mentioned about kids there, and I know we have a young listener in the chat at the moment, and maybe we'll have young listeners at other times. What would you say to the young kids these days about what you're talking about?
What kind of age are we talking about? Well, when you say young, what?
I believe he's about 15. I believe.
15. Don't believe a word your government says. Do not believe a word. Question everything. Question everything. If it doesn't feel right, the chances are it isn't right. If your heart tells you it's not right, then it's not right. We're born with an inbuilt self-preservation mechanism. I'm not talking about the one that stops you seeing what you know. Common sense. It's inherent. It's in you. And if your common sense tells you it's wrong, you can believe that it's wrong. If it doesn't feel right, you know it's not right.
Yeah, for sure.
It's as simple as that. And well, I've got by on going, what I believe or what my head tells me is real and what isn't, and it's never been wrong many times.
Well, I think it's the gut instinct thing that we talk about. I also believe that we get conditioned in only looking at one side of things. So if we can train our brains to have a little bit of look at both sides of things and then make your own judgment, I think you can grow from that point.
It is, but people won't look at things from two sides. They look at it from the mainstream media side, and I mean, myself now, I can look both ways. Same thing, take the Woolwich or the Boston bombing or whatever, and I know both sides of the argument. I know the official version, and I know my version. And without being biased, I know that my version makes a whole lot more sense than what the official version does. But people will not look at the alternative version to something, they'll look at the official version and they'll have a word said against it, And I say, any young person, question everything, because them people who are supposed to be acting in your best interest most certainly aren't.
That's right, and I think there's plenty of examples out there for an inquiring mind. We haven't even touched on the likes of Sandy Hook or any of those type of things. A quick question I was going to ask you about Dallas Gold Bug, and then we'll maybe go into the Madeleine McCann thing. But, what do you make of Dallas Gold Bug?
Sorry?
What do you make of Dallas Gold Bug? I'm trying to remember his name, but that's his YouTube name. He basically says that they're all paid actors and so on, and a lot of TV characters are essentially the same.
So I can't hear that, Steve.
Sorry, is that any better? What do you make of a guy called Dallas Goldbug? I'm trying to remember his real name. That's his YouTube name. He basically does wellaware1.com, and essentially he's saying that they're actors with face makeup and all sorts of things, and he does like a facial recognition by ears. So he reckons that ears are like fingerprints that but some of his claims are actually quite crazy. I think it's that David Icke and Richard Branson is the same person. And
you know what? Funny you should say. Now I hadn't come across this till something like Thursday or Friday of last week when someone sent me an email, and this must be the same person they're talking about, saying that what's his name? Who everyone supports in America but don't get presidency.
Ron Paul.
John Paul. Yeah. He's actually, who did he say he was? And he can see the resemblance, but, I'll have to go into my email. Give me a second. And I've never heard of this geezer, but it must be him who she's talking about.
Yeah.
But she comes up with, Bono is, Robin Williams. And
yeah. The website's wellaware1.com, I believe.
Van Paul is Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
I mean, I can say, I'm not convinced. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I can give you my opinion. That some of it looks extremely valid what he's saying, but it got pretty extreme. So I'm wondering if he was maybe hitting the nail on the head a little bit, and they had a little word with him saying, look, you're going to have to discredit yourself, otherwise you're going to be dead, and he starts coming out with this junk. That's my theory of it, because a lot of what he was showing you was correct. I don't know if you recall the Marine at the Occupy New York standing up in front of the policeman and so on. Well, he tracked him down and said the Marine was actually a policeman and he'd been used on a false flag operation before and so on. So that gives you an idea of who Dallas Goldbug is.
Yeah, I'll say I'm not convinced. I can't even find the email, but there was a few. If you look at Ron Paul, and I'll tell you who the actor is. He's out of Lord of the Rings. Famous actor.
Right.
And there are similarities, but Ron Paul has quite a few sunspots, are they called? You know, that the old people get.
Yeah.
And this actor, can't remember his bloody name. I can't even find the email.
Well, people talk about Ron Paul, and you know, I don't know what you think about Freemasonry, but if you want to see his lodge, it's the cross and the crescent. The cross and the crescent is his lodge. If you go there, you'll find reports of Ron Paul. So if you believe that Freemasons run the world, Ron Paul's a Freemason.
I don't believe that there is anyone in politics who is honest, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, no one at all. Even they talk about George Galloway. George Galloway might be one of the better ones, but I do not believe he's been in politics so long. I do not believe that he does not know about the pedophilia that's running rife through our politicians and the corruptions that's running rife. So even if he wasn't involved himself, to not expose it is just as bad, you know?
Yeah.
He's been in politics, since the late 70s. You know, so 30 odd years he's been in politics. You know, if he doesn't know about the paedophilia running right through there, the cover-ups under the Thatcher government and all that, you know, then he's been walking around with his eyes closed and his fingers in his ears, and he hasn't exposed it. And the fact that he hasn't exposed it all up, to me, speaks volumes.
Well, I run parallel with that, my friend. I believe that, you know, pretty much any of those guys are not part of. They're not helping us. Put it that way.
No, of course they're not.
They may.
And they're working to agenda. So I say I did a thing on George Galloway a little while ago. You know, they sort of stood up a little hornet's nest. I still stand by what I say. There's no such thing as a novice politician.
Yeah.
None of them are. 650 in the House of Commons is there working to our benefit, man.
As they say, politics is poly is many and ticks are bloodsuckers. Many bloodsuckers.
Is what saying, man?
I'm saying, as they say, politics, poly being many and ticks being bloodsuckers. Many bloodsuckers.
They are. And they take piss. You know, and this is what I'm saying about, you know, you say people are waking up, but they're not waking up quick enough because they're not even trying to hide that they're taking the piss now.
Yeah.
Do you know, when they're talking, we've got people, so, you know, kids getting by on jam sandwiches and parents skipping meals to feed their kids in this country now, and they're talking, you know, £10,000 pay rise. And what do? Steve, it's not even a full-time job, mate.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when Boris Johnson was the MP for Henley, he was the bleeding editor of was it Private Eye he was the editor of? You know, so if you can be an editor of a magazine and a full-time politician, how do you fit it all in?
Yeah.
You know, it's not a full-time job. They have too much free time. Don't they make out like you know that they have to have these flats because of late night meetings? It's bollocks.
Yeah.
It's bollocks. Although the frontman, you know, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, you don't think he checks all the maths himself, bollocks if he does. They have accountants and whatnot, and advisors, and all they are, they're actors, they're frontmen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not full time, and they're very well paid frontmen. But like, I say they're not even trying to hide the contempt that they feel for people these days.
Yeah.
So well, people are having to skip meals to feed their kids, and the kids are getting by on jam sandwiches and whatnot. You know, they're getting their TV licenses paid. Well, the poorest people in England don't get their TV licenses paid. Don't pay your TV license, people. You're a mug if you do. I haven't done it in 13 or 14 years. Still here. You know, and I say the contempt and the hypocrisy, they're not even trying to hide it no more.
Yeah.
You know, it's blatant because everything's speeding up now, Steve. Everything's speeding up to the agenda, you know, to the final push. And people are waking up. They're not waking up quick enough, and it's a case of they're worried about people waking up, and they're pushing it, and they're making a lot of mistakes now. A lot of mistakes, and well, to be honest with you, I can't see there being any stopping them. To be honest with you. Because I don't think people are going to wake up quick enough, and every time they do, it's too late. And people like me, well, you know, we're gone for definite.
Yeah, I understand your feeling, my friend. I'm the eternal optimist. I kind of think that, I say this, is that the minority is going to make the right decision, the majority is going to make the wrong decision, the minority will inherit the earth, and balance will be restored, in the sense that we'll know how to deal with this earth, and we'll be able to shape it.
You know yourself, Steve, once this shit hits the fan,
yeah.
They're going to be knocking on your door, they're going to be knocking on my door, and we're going to make it. You know, I read comments, not just on my site, on other sites, you know, just take out Cindy Corbin, the donation site, you know, God bless you, you know, you're so brave, you're an inspiration, we say. And I feel, you know, grabbing them people by the shirt collars and shaking, saying, like, this is false. There is nothing wrong with a girl. There was never nothing wrong with a girl. Yeah. You know, it wasn't blown up. You've been deceived. But they don't have it. And I say that the stupidity of people, crass stupidity, is going to get us all killed.
Yeah.
I cannot. I say that I've almost lost all hope that there is any kind of future for any of us. You know, I mean, I won't give up. I've said this on my site.
Yeah.
I can't afford to give up because I'm just going to forget what I said, and I have said some proper nasty things, which you'll know if you read my site.
Yeah.
It's not going to be forgiven and forgotten, so I've got no choice but to carry on, hoping, against hope that, you know, people are going to wake up.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is that we have to die trying anyway.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't. I mean, I owe it to my children and my grandchildren.
Yeah.
You know, because where people say, "Oh, I love my children. I'd do anything. I'd never let any harm come to them." You know, they're doing just that. But I really do love my children and my grandchildren, and I couldn't live with myself if I didn't do something to try and stop it.
Yeah.
But you know, if I'm going to die, at least I've died trying.
Yeah, and I think it's the time where the older fellas have got to go to the battlefront, wherever that may be, rather than the usual send the young lads to get slaughtered. I think the old fellas, well, I'm in my 50s, you know, it's a case of we've got to do our thing and try and leave some kind of legacy for our youth, and try and get establish some kind of way where we can bring our young ones up properly.
Well, there shouldn't be any wars anyway, Steve, should there?
Mm-hmm. Yep, the sovereignty.
I mean, all it does is further the elite's agenda. They're all manipulated. As you know, if you know anything about World War II, you know, the Americans were sort of came in that for the false flag for Pearl Harbor to be prevented. You know, so they're all purposely started anyway.
Yeah. Sure.
To enrich the elite and further, you know, the elite's plan. And young men are dying needlessly. So there are no heroes. We shouldn't be in Iraq. We shouldn't have invaded Iraq. There's nothing to do with us. Iraq was no threat. You know, I still see people, brave soldiers that, you know, fighting for our freedom or fighting for us. And, you know, they're not fighting for us, and they're not fighting. Our freedom wasn't threatened. Iraq was never a threat to us.
Yeah.
You know, but God, if you say, you know, they're not heroes. If they don't know that why they're in Iraq and Afghanistan, if they don't know, then they should owe it to themselves to educate themselves why they're there and what they're actually doing there. Yeah. And what they're actually doing there is not for the benefit of us.
That's right.
Not for us, our safety. So therefore, they aren't heroes.
I'm going to backtrack a little bit here. We were talking about politicians and paedophile rings, and bringing us onto the subject that you want to talk a little bit about Madeleine McCann. You know, the child kidnapping and paedophile rings was a much mentioned thing when Madeleine McCann story broke. You have some I'm not sure.
I'm glad you brought this up, Steve, because if you didn't, my friend Stephen Birch would never let me hear the end of it.
Well, it's actually something I'm very interested in myself, because I found a few anomalies and then I couldn't further the research. So I'm actually quite happy and glad that you're going to tell
You're
us.
picking up a little bit, Steve.
Sorry, yeah. I'm saying I'm glad that you're going to tell us a little bit more on that, because I didn't really get my full research done on that subject. So.
All right. Well, Stephen Birch is a South African businessman, and he freely admits that he started off glory hunting. You know, looking for prestige. Myself in this case, but since then it's been going on so many years that you know, it's kind of it's not about glory now. It's about getting truth out. Who's Stephen Birch? I say he's a South African businessman, and well, Robert Murat, who has a home, well, actually his mother's home, very close to the holiday resort where Madeleine McCann went missing. Now, Robert Murat was originally the main suspect in the case until McCann became the main suspect. And Robert Murat actually he sued the Daily Express and another newspaper, I can't remember which one, got a lot of money out of them. But Stephen Birch illegally entered Robert Murat's back garden with the latest, best ground penetrating radar known to man, and found something buried there in his back garden, which has been verified by 6 independent experts. Now, when Kate McCann was being interviewed on This Morning, you know, the program This Morning, Philip Schofield and Hollywood, they actually asked her about Stephen Birch. As soon as they mentioned her name, she got twitch, and sort of they tried to dismiss him. But there was something buried in Robert Murat's drive. Well, his drive wasn't there at the time. The drive has since had a drive put on it, although it's only a gravel thing. And Stephen insists this is to stop Robert Murat's dogs from picking up the body. But the McCanns won't pursue it. They prefer to, on the day that the news broke about Stephen Birch finding this body buried, Kate McCann boated off to India on a wild goose chase because there was a sighting of Madeleine in India. But they aren't prepared to pursue it. Robert Murat won't give permission to dig his driveway up, even though Stephen Birch insists that Robert Murat is innocent. But he does know that, he's not saying that he doesn't know the body is buried there, but he had nothing to do with her death. The Portuguese authorities refused to investigate it, and Operation Grange, which is the inquiry into Madeleine McCann that started in 2011, they refused to pursue it, and they preferred to, chase wild goose chases of 6 Englishmen in a transit, a cleaner, and things like that. Whereas this driver, so I used to be a builder, I could dig that driveway up in half an hour and put it back the way it was, because it's only gravel topped. You ain't got to go through any kind of concrete or anything, tarmac, anything like that. So it's easy. They could even probe it, but none of them will do this. Yet 6 independent experts in ground radar readings have verified that there was something buried there. And you have to read my my article. It's on my website, www.spivey.co.uk, called Digging for Marilyn, and it has all the photos of the anomalies in the ground difference. Now, also has pictures of pre-driveway and when the driveway was put there, which have been superimposed over each other. Robert Murat's backyard was originally searched by the Portuguese police, and they say they used ground radar on it then. But where the body was buried, there was always bullets rubble there, always, which kind of got added to. And you have to use this ground radar. It has to be flat to the ground. If it's tilted in any way, it won't read properly anyway. So they can possibly have, taken a reading of the ground underneath this bullets rubble. And I say exactly why they won't, because by doing so, all they need is a couple of probes to know there was something there and whether it was worth digging or not. and it would put an end to all the speculation. Because Stephen Birch, he's not just known to me, he's known, throughout the world. It's been reported, his findings have been reported in papers right across the world. And no one's no one's willing to do anything about it. Well, the McCann said that, they would leave no stone unturned until they find Madeleine. To me, they're leaving a great big boulder unturned. Just by not either, disproving this or proving it. Either way, just by sort of hoping that it'll go away, which it's not going to, it speaks volumes,
Yeah. I mean, if it was me, I'd have the shovel out there myself. You know what I mean? It's, nothing would be stopping me if I thought that was
exactly, exactly. But I say, every single, the British authorities, Portuguese authorities, McCann's, Robert Mueller, they're all dead set against digging this easy to dig, easy to probe piece of land. Why? You've only got why. Why are they? Yeah, they're quite happy to go to India on the off chance, New Zealand on the off chance, six white men or 6 English men in a transit van, which should have been reported, to me 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
How come they've only found these 6 Englishmen in the transit that was wandering about, or this cleaner that might have something. All improbabilities, whereas the probability they won't investigate.
Yeah.
That the Theresa May, who ordered Operation Grange, she's holding 3 top secret files on the McCann case. Now this isn't just conspiracy. This is the Star, the Daily Star, took it to court, or tried to take it to court to get it to release these 3 top secret files on the McCann case, and they failed.
Yeah.
So this is like people's mainstream media saying this. This isn't just me, speculating. This is in the mainstream media. The newspaper taking the court to get reveal the contents of these 3 top secret files on Madeleine McCann. And I say that the Star failed, which then Theresa May ordered this inquiry into Madeleine McCann's disappearance, a British inquiry called Operation Grange. I bet you can bet your life she hasn't told him the contents of the 3 top secret files.
Yeah.
So what's the point of what is the point of launching an inquiry that's costing the taxpayer millions and millions of pounds when she's holding 3 top secret files on the case? You tell me the reasoning behind that.
Yeah. That's
it's all a smoke screen. It's an act. Everything's an act, mate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were certain anomalies to do with the passports and credit cards and things like that, because the man McCann, I can't remember his first name, he got them stolen before
Freemason.
Pardon?
That was Jerry the Freemason. He's a very high-ranking Freemason.
Right, that wouldn't surprise you. And pedophilia and things like that go along those kind of lines.
Speculation, even mate. That's fact as well. But you look at the caliber of their support, people who are backing them, and you think why? People go missing every day of the week. But why? Prince Charles has got involved and why the hell has Prince Charles got involved? Is that saying, he was concerned he was touched by it? Was he? Bollocks. And Prince Charles ain't touched by things like that, mate, not unless there's something that he don't want people to know.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about Freemasonry and, paedophile rings. The same was in Scotland, with the Dunblane killings, and, the guy that did the killings was in contact with the Queen and was a known paedophile, so the thing with Freemasonry runs hand in hand, it seems.
Of course it does, and if you look at the people that have been knighted and whatnot by the Queen, look how many have turned out to be paedophiles and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I talk quite a bit about the royal family on my website, and I haven't got a good word to say about them. I'm only people that call the Queen. You get them silly people waving their flag at them, they bring so much money into the country. Do they bother?
Yep.
What they cost us and what they bring in to the country. He's nowhere making amends. But I tell you what, that family is evil, mate. Absolutely evil.
Yeah.
And they want hanging a lot of them. A lot of them. And I'll tell you now, and I'll say it right here. Prince Philip and Prince Charles, they're both paedophiles. Both paedophiles. But very good friends with Jimmy Savile. Through, Jimmy Savile was introduced to Prince Philip, via, Lord Mountbatten. Now, once again, in the mainstream media, Lord Mountbatten, his wife was shagging the Indian Prime Minister, shortly before, India gained independence. That was having threesomes. This is all in the mainstream media, and this is the man, who brought Prince Charles up. Mountbatten was a paedophile himself. Him and his brother George. And that they was responsible for bringing Prince Philip up, who is a Nazi, incidentally. Because they're German, the Mountbatten, Battenberg originally.
Yeah.
And, I say, they had control of Prince Philip when he was young, abused him, and what did Prince Philip do? Made Lord Louis Mountbatten mentor for Charles, gave him Charles to bring up. Well, that Prince Philip didn't know that Lord Mountbatten was a paedophile, is beyond credibility,
Yeah.
He gave his son to him to look after,
Well, you talk about...
I say it was Mountbatten who introduced Jimmy Savile to Prince Philip, and Prince Philip then introduced him to Prince Charles. Savile and Prince Philip fell out spectacularly. What would a flamboyant DJ and the King of England in all but name have to fall out spectacular about? That they didn't speak. They fell out for some reason or other. Prince Charles maintained this close relationship with him, sending him presents. The English will never know what you did for us. I'm pretty sure they will.
You mentioned Lord Mountbatten and the fact that he was a paedophile. I'm basically based in Northern Ireland here, and I recently discovered that there was a paedophile ring in
Kincover Boys Home.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And Louis Mountbatten was taking his pick out after he had his picture, the little Indian boys, when he left being viceroy. He used to take boys out on his boat, and anyone who thinks, I've recently did a note on this, anyone who thinks that the IRA blew Lord Mountbatten up, they didn't. No, they didn't. None of that makes sense. A lone fella, supposedly, Michael, Monhan, or something like that,
Right.
carried his £50 of explosives onto his bomb, onto his boat, attached this bomb, this £50 worth of explosives onto the boat on his own. It's impossible to do,
Yeah.
That is the official story, but that's not true. There is credible theory that Prince Philip ordered that as well. We know he ordered to die and death, anyway.
Yeah.
But,
well, you talk about Northern Ireland there and the Mountbatten, the IRA and so on. Obviously living in the north, they have a kind of special interest. And if you look at the Orange Order, which is like a Masonic order, or the Order of the Black, it's Masonic. And then you look at the IRA, that tends to be the Ancient Order of the Hibernians, which is a Masonic order. So you begin to understand why I think that both sides are usually controlled.
Yeah, of course they are. And I say nothing adds up, but I will tell you that the Prince Philip and Prince Charles are both paedophiles, and Prince Charles is more than likely gay.
Well, that wouldn't be a surprise.
It's the evidence is there in the mainstream media. It's just a case of putting it all together. When you put it all together, you get drip fed little bits, and you sort of take no notice of it. But when you sort of put bits together, everything together, and then you become aware of the bigger picture. And this is why people they're so unwilling to believe. They won't believe that the Queen is evil. because she doesn't look evil. No one can believe it of her. But her mother was even worse. You know, the old lost. And I put an article on there, on the website, a month or so ago, which was in the Express, about how she used to hold horse races, dinner parties, without horses, in the front, in the dining room, and people run out, making out that they're taking part in a derby, and whipping them to spur them on. And you can't tell me that's not kinky.
Yeah.
And that's the Queen Mother, she's anything with Queen Mother, at least you have to smile. Dark Queen doesn't even have to smile. She don't even know when she's well off, mate.
So
totally takes the piss.
Go back to the Madeleine McCann thing, and so do you think that there was something in the way of paedophilia going on, or do you reckon?
Most definitely. I wouldn't have run the story if I didn't believe. And I've talked to Stephen. I talk to Stephen a lot. I'm saying he's in South Africa, or should I say he talks to me, because you try to get a word in edgeway with a man is impossible.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, he can talk. He can talk. And he is passionate, and he truly believes it. And when someone's that passionate and truly believes it, then I believe it myself, I speak up as I find, and everyone gets a chance with me until I prove otherwise. And the man is so passionate about it that I cannot believe that. He has everything to lose by them digging the driveway up, and nothing. He does stand again, but he has everything to lose. His credibility and everything. If they dig up and there's nothing there, whereas the McCanns and the authorities, they have everything to gain by digging up if they're really honest in wanting to find Madeleine. Mm-hmm. Well, because if she's not there, he gets Stephen off them back, and if she's there, they found her. So you can only why don't they want to then? Because I say it's not a major job. It's not going to cost millions of pounds to do. I could do the job myself. A couple of probes, first of all, just because whatever's buried there, it's only about 2, maybe 3 foot down at the most.
Mm-hmm. Certainly, the next time you speak to him, if he wishes a wee platform, then certainly Awake Radio would try and help him in that direction. It'd be a welcome guest.
He has a petition. I can't remember when he said it, but you can find it on. He's under Stephen Birch. Mm-hmm. That's StephenBirch. Or you can find it on my Facebook page. Mm-hmm. Which is spivey. But there's a petition that's going on to get signed to get the authorities to act on it, and the fact that they don't is just absolutely ridiculous. And I say it makes the McCann's claim that no stone unturned. It's just bollocks, Mm-hmm. Maybe they have more to lose in finding Madeleine than there is to be gained. Yeah. Finding Madeleine, let's just say that. So very quick to sue.
Well, for me, one of the important things about we talked about Sandy Hook, and we talked about Boston, and 9/11 and 7/7s and things like that, and obviously the Madeleine case. If we can break one of those cases where there is no doubt, then I think it will arouse a lot of suspicion with unawakened people, and I think it's important that we do break one of these stories.
It is, yeah. I say, but if 150,000, 200,000 read the story and they pass it on to, you're talking still about a relatively small amount of people, Steve. Yeah. It's not gaining enough it's not gaining the momentum that it should. Mm-hmm. And I say, to me, it's very anyone who read, I defy anyone to read my article digging for Madeleine and not see the credibility in it. If it wasn't credible, it wouldn't even be on my site, right? Because I say I don't work in hypotheticals. Yeah. Everything that goes on my site is backed up, and I say the normal cooking with other Daily Mail. But
I think that's the only way.
It's what you can find in the MSN. It's mostly based on evidence by the MSN, but added together.
Sure.
You know, to prove how they're wrong, sort of thing. So I don't say to anyone, I said that, take my word for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's that, do your own research, look it up yourself, and then tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, that's the way to do it. That is exactly the way to do it. When there's hearsay and there's proof, and if you can put as much proof down there, if people are going to look at it objectively, then that's where we're going to get somewhere.
Yeah, but once again, Steve, they don't, mate. They don't. No. It's, you know, and everything is sourced. I say, you know, everything is sourced. That you see on my side, but they don't bother clicking on the sources because what people don't want to believe, they don't want to be taken out of their comfort zone. They don't want to believe that the government are not working for them. You know, and I see stupid stuff saying on my Facebook, this government, you know, that I've had enough of them. You know, they're taking their right. And next time I'm going to vote Labour, and I just think,
yeah,
no wonder I'm bored.
yeah.
You know. Yeah, but they still believe they have this illusion of choice.
Yeah.
That is an illusion. Everything is an illusion, Steve, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, very much so.
The words mean what they say, and an act is an act.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretend, make believe, it doesn't exist. I say, I don't expect anybody to do anything that I'm not prepared to do myself. I was meant to be in court on the 26th for what do you call it? What's the tax? Your council tax.
Oh yeah, yeah.
On the 26th, and I never turn out. I had no intention of turning out. I don't pay a TV license. I don't pay water. You know, don't pay anything that you haven't got to do. Yeah. And I, you know, people say to me all the time, "What can I do? What can I do?" And well, don't pay nothing. Pay nothing that you haven't got to pay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm, you know, I would do, but no, it doesn't matter if no one else joins in. Yeah. I've been doing, I say, I'm paid for TV licensing 14 years, and I'm saying that on air, whoever, and you can bet your life, Steve, that the security services are listening in.
Yep.
I'm telling you now, 14 years, I'm not paying the council tax, I'm not paying my water. You come and get me, you want to come and get me, I'll shout, mate.
Yeah.
I'll shout, you do come and get me.
So, what you're touching there on a little is the sovereign issue. What's your take on the sovereign issue?
It is, yeah. Well, I mean, it's too involved to sort of go into on here, isn't it? But,
sure.
But basically, you have your common law and you have your statute law, don't you? And anything that's statute law is law by consent. If you don't consent, but in saying that, Steve, you've got to be careful, because I don't want anyone saying, well, Chris Spivey told me this, you know, if you don't know what you're talking about, they're going to trick you, and they're going to come down bleeding hard on you to make an example of you, you know? So you have to know, what you're talking about when you go down that road anyway.
Yeah.
And to do so is too involved to sort of speak about it in the time that we've got, you know?
Yeah.
You need to read up about it and what,
I would agree.
There is a multitude of ways that they're going to trick you into consenting without you actually knowing that you've consented, you know? And then once they've got you, they'll throw the book at you, and I don't want people coming back on me and saying, well, you know, you told me this, you told me that.
Understood.
You've got to read up on it, you've got to be clued up on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you come from my point of the sovereign issue, then I'm above the law. Now, that sounds very arrogant, but I'm solely in control of my soul. So, you know, then that means I have to act honourably and respectfully to everyone around me, and I expect the same back.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but then you obviously, you've got to live in this construct, you've got to deal with courts and so on. So I actually look at the process as being that when they put the gun to your head, they're gonna make it happen, you know. So
if they want to,
I think
everybody, you need to educate people. Need to educate themselves, you know. Instead of taking people's word for it and just sitting and watching the telly. I mean, I've got telly here. I've got telly, guys. I've got telly. I never watch it. It's on right now. Just look up and I'm looking at it, but the volume's never up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter does, but she's young and some things go in, some things don't, you know, that's the folly of youth. But the people owe it to themselves to educate themselves, you know, and that is the way forward. You know, I mean, I can tell people that the Queen is an even old bag and Prince Charles is a paedophile, Prince Philip is a paedophile. I won't believe it. You've got to find out for yourself. Yeah. And, you know, switch the telly off and educate yourself. I mean, I left school without a single qualification, Steve. I hated school. Yeah. I've never been one of them to say, you know, best years of your life. I absolutely hated it. And I left school and teachers already told me I would never amount to nothing. You know, up yours. You know, because I educate, and if you're interested in something, you will learn it.
Yes.
Telling you about something and you ain't interested, it's going to go in one ear and out the other.
Exactly. I've said that many times, my friend.
And this is the key. This is what people want to do. That they want to educate, because there's a whole world out there that they don't know nothing. And no matter how clued up and how streetwise they think, there's a whole world out there people know nothing about.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I try and do on my show is preach self-dependency. And it's not the same as self-sufficiency.
No.
It's being self-dependent. Educate yourself about your food. Educate yourself about your medicines. You know, educate yourself about free energies or whatever. You know, essentially, you know, you are your own master. And
you are. But too many people rely that they have to be told what to do. You know, and we've got to change that habit. They come to rely on the nanny state. You know, you got to think for yourself. You know, don't think, because if people are thinking for you, they're not thinking in your best interest, mate.
But also understand too that we've got to live in this construct as well. So, you know, there is a balancing act to some degree that we're, you know, like
I don't expect. I don't want to come across as arrogant. I don't expect people to be as clued up as what I am, or
sure,
as clever as what I am. There's always going to be those who need to be told to a certain extent, you know. But even the dumbest person doesn't have to be as dumb as what they are, you know.
Yeah.
You've got to help yourself. You've got to educate yourself. And that's the only way, because everyone's been brainwashed. You're brainwashed from the minute you're born, you know. And you've got to understand. You've got a lifetime of indoctrination there. And the way the real world is completely different to the illusion that they think it is. Yeah. And you know, they've got to understand this. They've got to understand that the government aren't acting in their best interests. They're not working for them. They're not working for their benefit. They don't care about them. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't care that they're struggling, that they're starving, whether they've got roof over there, whether they've got heat. They don't care. Don't care. They've got their, you know, their TV loan, their second-hand mortgage paid for, their big fat meals, that, you know, their 100-year-old champagne and whatever. You take David Cameron, at least 30 million in the bank. You know, do you think day in, day out he's working for the good of us? Is he bollocks?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't care when you've got 30 million pound in the bank. He don't care about people.
No. Definitely not. I mean, it's
always been that way. The whole system has to change, Steve. You know, this political parties have to be done away with. There's too much room for corruption. There's no room for Freemasonry or any secret society in politics. There's absolutely no, because the very definition of secrets, you know, means you're withholding information, which can't be to the good of people. You know, so you got to ban Freemasonry. I would ban it altogether, but you got to ban it from politics for a start, really, and this monopoly that the political parties have got, it's got to be broken, you know.
Yeah.
And we got to have a whole different system, because this system is designed to fail, and fail it will. When it does, it'll be too late to say, you know, what did you say something?
Yeah, I agree with you. The thing I was just gonna say sprung right out of my mind. You said that something's got to change, yeah. And I really think that starts at your own sovereignty.
This is what I said, and I've said this to people the other day. You know, I've been writing I've had my website for a year and a half. Before that, I was 6 months writing for the Sovereign Independent, so that's 2 years. Before that, I was just, on Facebook, things I said on Facebook. I haven't paid a TV license in 14 years, and paid my water in 12 years. So I was due in court on the 26th, turn up for my council tax. I've been doing it for the past 12 years for myself, and so what if your neighbour doesn't agree to do it with you? Do it for yourself. You do it for yourself, more people will do it for themselves, and you work that way. Don't think, oh, no one else is doing it, so there's no point in me doing it. Because when you think that way, no one's doing it, and no one's achieving anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to stand up and be counted, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, oh, Chris, you've got so many, you suck bollocks and all that. No, I haven't. It's just I refuse to be anybody's slave. I will not let them take the piss out of me. And this is what it's all about, and it's for you. So stand up, and I will accept the consequences. I'll tell you what, if they come from me, I'm going to shout loud, and I can shout very loud when I want to,
Mm-hmm.
and well, maybe that's the reason they haven't come for me yet. But I'm under no illusions as time goes on, and you know yourself, Steve, that accidents do happen.
Yeah.
and sooner or later, an accident's going to befall me. I have no doubt about that. So I have my own self-preservation. I have a vested interest in getting things changed. But if they don't, me and you are goners, mate.
Yeah, there's no doubt. But this is where I was saying the old fellas have to stick their necks out instead of being the young fellas. It's our turn. I think we're probably the last generation that can do something about the situation.
Definitely. I say things are moving so quick now, frighteningly quick, and they're not even attempting to do it covertly, it's sort of overtly now.
Yeah.
And you've had false flags like Boston Bomb and Woolwich, and they're transparent. They're transparent, and you have the bedroom tax being brought in. Well, I see. I wondered why I am doing Duncan Smith actually, because he's been a bit quiet of late, but I see he's popped up in the news today saying the bedroom tax has been a success. And I don't know quite how he's worked that out. It only came in April, didn't it?
Yeah.
So how he sort of worked that out so quickly, I don't know. But from what I read, it's a massive failure, not a big success. But they're imposing these things. And next they're coming for the pictures next, and you got an election coming up. You think they'd be doing the opposite, but then they're not. They're pushing on, and there's only one reason they're speeding things up now.
Yeah.
Because we're coming to the end of it. But
yeah,
the game is new. I shouldn't call it a game because people take it literally, but we're near the end result now.
Yeah. I mean, you spoke there, I think you said, was it 12 years? So I'm assuming that it's 12 years you've been awakened?
Yeah. I mean, what really did it was 9/11, to be honest, because 11 years ago. But even, I've always been not anti-authority, I won't say anti-authority, but I've never liked anyone telling me what to do, anyone acting for me. I've always been able to look after myself and act for myself and think for myself. I don't need no one to think for me. And I didn't see why, I should be paying this TV license, for the BBC, knowing what the BBC get up to. And I'm talking about pedophilia, I'm not even talking about pedophilia, I'm talking about household interests, which are not meant to have in that. And it just didn't feel to me to be right anyway. Once 9/11 happened, I just instinctively knew that wasn't right. Like I was saying, the actual conclusive proof didn't happen for a couple of years. There was things like I had that forward and that, but you couldn't prove it like now. You can prove it beyond any shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And all the other engaging factors and whatnot. But we didn't then. But that's really what, and the more you look into things, the more doors open. I mean, you sort of start looking into things now, and there's but the more you learn where to look, and the more doors are open, as the door opened, you learn a bit more, a bit more, and a bit more, until you sort of reach the stage where I am now. I can just put the finger and say, that Woolwich, well, I put a statement, you know, the disgusting things that people was writing on Facebook, about, you know, racial, you know, things. And
sure.
And I wrote a very, very scathing status, Mate, I had over 900 Muslims had me on Facebook in the course of the following week. You know, the status sort of went viral, and like I speak as a finder, and I'll tell you now, you know, these Muslims that have had me, every one of them thanked me or made a point of speaking to me. Now, people had me because I'm a tattooist as well. I get people adding me, you know, all the time. Sure. But they'll add me, and they won't say a word. Everyone, you know, say thank you for the accepting, you know, the ad and whatnot, and they're just normal people, man. No different. They have the same hopes and fears for their children as what we have, you know. And if you've read my website, you know the language I use. You know, not like I've been very good tonight. You know, not one of them said, "Oh, you know, you don't need to use that language. You don't need to use that language."
Yeah.
And you know, they're just normal people. They just have a different religious belief. None of them saying, "Oh, you know, you want to become a Muslim." No one's trying to, you know, ram it down my throat. And I say that they're just normal people. And the racism that I see, which, as you know, you will know yourself, is purposely created by the government. I mean, which was already about anyway. You know, by Cameron saying it was a terrorist attack before he could possibly know that it was a terrorist attack. You know, Muslim extremists. I could go and behead someone tomorrow and say in the name of Catholicism. Doesn't make me a Catholic. Do you know? But like the way that he cut his business trip short. Miliband cut it. Well, why the hell did Miliband cut his business trip short? What the hell has it got to do with him anyway, do you know?
Yeah.
But it was all done, all designed, you know, it's the Muslims, get the Muslims,
yeah.
You know, and it was so, at best, irresponsible, speaking out and coming out and saying it was a terrorist attack before they could possibly know that it was a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
They were saying it was a soldier before they could possibly know. Yeah, you had that Nick Rains for the Woolwich MP saying that he was a soldier and that, and the MOD hadn't even confirmed that he was a soldier, and I still don't think he was a soldier today, because what kind of soldier doesn't have a rank? You have a look, you will not find private, corporal, sergeant, you will not find a rank on that man. Anywhere, and believe me, I've spent hours and hours and hours searching, and so what kind of soldier doesn't have a rank? What kind of soldier? He wasn't in uniform. Had to know he was a soldier. They couldn't have targeted him. I proved in this article I've got that it was impossible to target him from whichever way they came, whether it be John Wilson Street from the left or from the right, or from Wellington Street above. The chances of them having Lee Rigby as a target was impossible, and pulling it off just because there's no way they could see. There's no, and I've got photos of the view you've got from the traffic lights, you know, and there's no way they could see Lee Rigby there, and there's no way they could have known that Lee Rigby was a soldier, because he wasn't in uniform anyway. And the chance of it all coming together, you got more chance of winning the pool tonight. And I say so for Cameron, you know, cut his business, and Cobra. What was Cobra? Who's ever heard of Cobra?
Yeah.
And Boris Johnson going there, and Obama speaking, and straight away, it was these kind of things that made me knew that something wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the whole over the top thing, the whole coming out with facts before the facts had even been established, was, I say, totally responsible. All done to incite racial hatred.
Yeah.
And that, then you know that it's coming from him, because he's an Israeli agenda. Let's hate Muslims. I mean, they'd even had, the Daily Mail was printing pictures of, giving over flowers to the policeman to mark of respect or whatever. And that they had a Sikh. Well, anybody who knows anything knows what a Sikh is. A Sikh will wear, obviously, a turban.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they even need to mention that he was a Sikh?
Yeah.
There was no need. Then, when there are pictures of white people giving over flowers, they say, oh, the Catholic, John Smith Catholic giving flowers. So now have a Sikh, why? Because Sikhs are good, Muslims are bad. And that's what it's all about, mate. And it's so transparent that it was pathetic.
I'm going to have to stop you there, my friend, because in the last couple of minutes. I agree. We're all getting pooped on from a great height. Yes. Would you like to sort of sum up briefly? And this has been our first simulcast on Awake Radio and WeRoar Radio, and you've been an absolutely brilliant guest. And I would like to give you the last minute before it cuts off on the WeRoar stream to add your final points.
I think I've more or less covered everything, Steve.
I think you've done rather well.
Yeah. All I say, do not believe what your government tell you, because your government are not your friends. You haven't got a choice. It's an illusion. Voting for Labour is voting for Conservative. It's voting for Liberal Democrats. It's voting for UKIP. They're all the same. But anyone who's in the House of Commons, mate, is not your friend. They're not working for you. They're working for the corporations. And you owe to yourself to educate yourself. Educate yourself. Education. Knowledge is power. Remember that. Yeah,
I can't say any better than that myself. The only thing I'm disappointed with the show is that the last two guests that I had convinced them to become host, and I'm sad that you're not going to be my friend, because I think you have a worthwhile voice, and the information that you're putting out there is greatly appreciated, certainly from me.
Thank you, Steve.
And you'll be a welcome guest any time, my friend. And I'm sure any of the hosts here would quite happily to give you an hour or so, 2 hours, whatever the case may be.
It's been emotional.
Yeah. Well, I've rather enjoyed it. I've got to say, and it's been a pleasant time speaking to you.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
Okay, I'll just round up the show, my friend, and I'll maybe have a quick word off air from you, Chris. Yep. But thank you very much for coming on. It has been greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, that was Chris Spivey. Much entertaining guest, I'm sure that you thought, and certainly the information there was absolutely first class. It's a pity that he doesn't want to be a host. He's a very extremely busy man, for what I could see with his site, and it'd certainly be a welcome guest back. Okay, guys, that's the first simulcast for WeRoar, as well as obviously for Awake, and we should be back Monday, 9 o'clock GMT, 4 EST. Next week for Granada's Workshop, and it's possible that we should have a guest, Scott Tips of the NHF, coming on. It's kind of in the planning at the moment, because Scott's in Rome doing the Codex Alimentarius thing in Rome, and we should get a heads up from Scott when he's available, and give you a round up what's happening with Codex, and it'll be hot off the press, guys. I don't think Scott's doing an interview until he sort of gets to me, so